Ghosts of the Abyss. So I'll be honest, I usually don't like talking about documentaries. Not because I dislike them, I love a good documentary. They're just hard to talk about. Usually all I can say is the subject matter was interesting and I enjoyed how they talked about it. And that's basically what I have to say about this. This likely will be short, and I understand most of you just want to hear about Avatar, but I promised to do every theatrical movie he did, so here we are. Bill Paxton is asked by James Cameron to join him on a venture down to the Titanic. That's it, that's the plot. What makes the movie interesting is the presentation. Not only are they able to get some freaking amazing shots of this ship. Seriously, they show us how they got them with these robots, and yet I still can't believe it looks that good. But they also have these little reenactments and CGI recreations to show how rough it was the night that it sank and how much the ship has deteriorated. In fact, while watching it, I was like, oh, this is what Dinesh was trying to do with Hillary's America. He just sucked at it. And it really does show how majestic this ship is. The fact that it's been around for almost 90 years and is still in relatively good shape, like it was still obviously the Titanic, you can tell what stuff is, the steering wheel, the door frames, there are even glass windows still intact. That blows my mind.
Unbelievable.
Take it real slow here.
Those are the lead glass windows.
Try to get your light up on those.
Amazing, huh?
Turn off his spotlight
Turn off your spotlight,
and make a nice image of the windows.
And the fact that they find these little treasures on the floor of the ocean like plates and wood paneling. Like they're just fully intact china plates, 12,000 feet below the ocean. They even find the captain's bathtub. It just shows why the story of the Titanic is still talked about over 100 years later, much more than other shipwrecks. Apparently this was originally in 3D, and it probably would be cool to watch it in that format. I also like how they explain how they were able to get a lot of these shots. They explain how they lit everything and how they used the little robots named Jake and Elwood. Yeah, that's what they call them. And it does get pretty suspenseful at times. When they're sending these robots through these cramped spaces, I kept screaming, "Don't break the Titanic!" Speaking of suspense, they do kind of explain how dangerous this trip can be. Bill makes kind of a jokey but also sort of serious remark that before you go, you maybe should have your will made out and your insurance paid off. You are going 12,000 feet below water. If you accidentally hit something too hard or a leak or anything goes wrong, you're probably gonna die. Also, you have to piss in bottles. I mean, you know everything's gonna be okay because Bill Paxton would still live for another 16 years until the universe decided to be a dick and take him away from us. But still. Oh, and just as they're finishing up, 9/11 happens, and yeah, it's pretty emotional when you're reflecting on one tragedy and then another happens while you're doing it. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I know it's short, but there really isn't much I can add. It's a solid documentary that shows why the Titanic is still talked about. In fact, just as a side note, there's this YouTube channel I've gotten into recently called Historic Travels. He's done tons of Titanic videos, and in fact, back in April, he did an entire multi-video series on the sinking. Check that out. They do a good job in showing how amazing Titanic is and how sad it can be that it won't be there for much longer. So yeah, it's good. It just doesn't do that much to make me want to watch it again. I give it a 7 out of 10. If you aren't interested in the Titanic, you probably won't get much out of this, but if you are, it's a reasonable length, focuses a lot on the stuff you want them to focus on, and it's only about $4 to rent off iTunes because for some reason it's not on Disney Plus yet. But thankfully his next movie is, so join me back here tomorrow for our second and final documentary, Aliens of the Deep. See you then.